My name's Brian from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. I've been collecting for a little bit over 15 years now, and what we're doing here is documenting the sneaker culture, showing you the different sides, the ins and outs, the things you do know and the things you don't know. It's just a tour of the souls. Laced up, just a small name to express the culture. We fighting over the galaxy when the planet we own most of. Slandered by most, understood by few. A culture with no face, so kicks we express ourselves through. See what the beast marketing plan would do to a generation or two. From the b-ballers to the kick pushers. From the sneaker mob divas to the street keepers. We do it all for the love of the sneakers. Anima Sana, Incorpore Sano. Yep, that's ASICS. Back to the basics we go. Like when Canvas met Rubber and created the Chuck Lover. Or when customizing Borchi, Mosh, Fetty, and the PMK brothers. This culture is somewhat toxic. I figure I go hide out in the basement like my man Bostic, or cover my face up with a mask like my homie Prophet. Freehand, full speed ahead with brands, but no plans on stopping. Every weekend we in line talking about which pair you copping, or look like the prices are never dropping. They say why you take your soul serious.
I want to talk to you about rubber. About rubber and the war. About rubber and the American people. When I say rubber, I mean rubber. I don't mean gasoline. Gasoline is a serious problem only in certain parts of the country. But rubber is a problem everywhere, from one end of the country to the other. In the Mississippi Valley as well as in the East. In the oil country as well as in the corn country. In the iron country as well as in the great industrial centers. Rubber is a problem for this reason, because modern wars cannot be won without rubber.
I'm Abe Amador. I'm a former reporter at the Indianapolis Star. In 2006, Indiana University Press published my book on Chuck Taylor. Chuck Taylor, All-Star, the true story of the man behind the most famous athletic shoe in history. There was a real Chuck Taylor. Many people thought he was just a fictional character like Betty Crocker or like Juan Valdez, the Colombian coffee guy, but in fact Chuck was real. He was from Columbus, Indiana. He was a long-term salesman and executive at Converse, and he died in 1969, but he was the first guy to invent brand names for athletic wear. Now every shoe, every baseball bat, every glove, every tennis racket has somebody's name on it, but the first name was Chuck Taylor on his basketball shoe. It's sometimes said that he was a all-star. He was not. He was a starter, he was a good player, but he never was all-state, as they would have said in those days. One of his teams did go to the finals of the state championship. They didn't win. Nevertheless, Chuck was a very good player, and he turned pro. When he was 17 years old, he started to play while he was in high school for a semi-pro team called the Columbus Commercials, which was sponsored by the local Chamber of Commerce. And then later he played for a couple of teams in Indianapolis that were sponsored by businesses or corporations or industries. His best team was in Akron, Ohio. He played for a team called the Firestone Non-Skids, which was sponsored by the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, and that was a major industrial league team. Converse also, in the late 20s, sponsored its own traveling basketball team called the Converse All-Stars. Chuck was the player coach for that team. They played in the Midwest, a lot of games right here in Indiana, also in Illinois. Chuck was based for a long time in Chicago. That was his regional sales territory, if you will. But during the winter, he traveled with the team and played basketball. He eventually started putting on demonstrations. He would do clinics, as he called them, in small gyms, high school gyms, college gyms around the country. He would do this as part of his effort to sell the shoes. He'd put on a demonstration. He'd say, here's what you can do with basketball. It's a wonderful game. He would always use his shoes. He would invite the local high school or college kids out. He would loan them the shoes to play in. And he sold a lot of shoes that way. He also taught a lot of people what the game of basketball was like. Chuck's name was added to the shoe in 1932 for the 1933 Converse Basketball Yearbook. That was an annual that came out the late summer, had all the prognostications for the next season, it had Chuck's own All-American list, and it had tips on how to play basketball. During World War II, many American manufacturers supplied the Army. And Converse, being a rubber manufacturer, as well as leather manufacturer to a certain extent, they made most of the informal footwear for the U.S. Army. They made, I think, about 11 million pairs of shoes for all the people who served. These were not combat boots, but these were the recreational off-duty boots or shoes that people would wear. The Army also supported basketball, supported soccer, supported boxing, and supported other kinds of athletics for soldiers in training when they were on duty, or off duty, I should say, to keep them physically fit, maybe to keep their minds off the war. At the same time, Converse also made some boots, leather boots, shearling line for pilots who had to fly high in the sky. Cabins weren't always pressurized then, and it got cold. So Converse was pretty significant in the war effort. They also had a program where both executives, the corporation, and the employees in the Boston, Massachusetts area, they would buy war bonds. They would make contributions to the effort, and Converse as a corporation, under the ownership of the Stone family. There are different owners now, but there was the Stone family. In those days, they got a commendation from the government for giving 10% of basically all their income, the corporation and the employees, to the war effort in terms of buying war bonds. Bonds at those times were essentially loans to the government, and the government would pay you back when they could.
My ninja. What it do, playboy? I hear you got some new pickups.
Pickups? Fool, I got heat. Flints, white and reds, altitudes, cool grays, DB3s, and the holy grail, cement 3s on feet.
Damn, homie, your feet is gonna be in fuego. How can I be down?
When you're balling on a budget, it's all about the trade. So what'd you give up? Oh, you know, just some things I had lying around.
One of the most interesting things I find about the culture is the different personalities that come along with it. You have customizing, you have skateboarders, you have athletes, you know, from basketball players to track stars. You have DJs, the music side of the culture that just plays a big part into it. You have the female sneaker culture. You have cartoonists and artists who make masks out of shoes, freehand profits of the game. It's just a lot of personalities that tie into the culture.
My name is Mark Bostic. Born and raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but I live in Detroit now.
My name is Maria Elena. I'm from Chicago, and I am the Chicago rep for Female Sneaker Fiend.
My name's Freehand Profit. I'm originally from the DMV and living out in LA now.
What's up, sneaker lovers? It's your girl Fetty DiBiase from the BX.
Lamara, 23-year-old from London. I'm currently in America doing my own little research project, which will make up my postgraduate dissertation, which is a study of women within sneaker culture, how they navigate that space from the marginalized position I believe that they are.
Hi, my name is Sue. I'm the owner of Rhyme East and Rhyme NYC Brooklyn. I have 2 sneaker boutique stores.
My name is Tyree Dillahay. I go by the name of Ree to friends and people in the sneaker community.
My name is Pete, also known as Premium Pete. I grew up in Brooklyn, NYC.
I am Sean Paper Chaser Williams from Brooklyn, New York. I have been in the sneakers for 27 plus years, and I am the producer, co-host, and teacher in OSD, Obsessive Sneaker Disorder.
I'm Jennifer Williams. Most people just call me Jenny. And I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland, DMV area.
I'm Dan Gamache of Poughkeepsie, New York.
I'm DJ Ski, born in New York City, lived everywhere growing up, from Florida to Texas to Minneapolis before making it big in LA.
I've been collecting sneakers since 1986. The reason why Jordan sneakers are my sneaker of choice is we were both in college at the same time, and actually I'm 2 days older than Mr. Jordan. I was born February the 15th, he was born February the 17th in 1963, and I remember running from practice to watch North Carolina play on ESPN, and once I saw his shoe in 1985, I was hooked, but I was still in college and we wore Adidas, so I couldn't wear them until I was out of college in 1986, and that's all I've had on my feet since then.
And I've been collecting since I was probably around 10, but my collection style has changed. When I was 10, it was more for like basketball and playing sports and things like that, so I would ball in my sneakers, but I definitely like cared about like what they were, but it was definitely for more, you know, like kind of like beating them up and balling in them. But for like kind of like more of a freshness purpose, I guess, just to, you know, to wear at parties and to just for my own personal sake, because I've always loved shoes. I definitely rooted in basketball because of basketball. I started collecting more for myself when I was in high school, when it wasn't just for using those shoes just to play basketball, but just, you know, more for myself and my personal collection started around high school.
She's Gotta Have It was on, and Mars Blackman, there's a famous scene where he's having sex with this girl, Nola Darling, and that was a character's name, and he wouldn't take off his J's. And I was, at that moment stuck in my head, and then fast forward 2 to 3 years later, and then Spike Lee, as that same character that he created for She's Gotta Have It, he started doing this campaign with Nike for the Air Jordan 3. And since then, I never looked back.
This was that sneaker, like, I'll never forget, like, this kid came into class wearing these in junior high. And, I mean, the teacher was like, well, what the hell are those? You know, like they were snapping necks, like literally people like, you know, remember when you used to be in those little desk chairs that had the chair and the desk together? People were just literally, you know, like turning, like, you know, what are those? And, you know, it really amazed me how like I grew up in an era in Brooklyn, and this could be in your area or neighborhood too, I'm not sure. But I grew up in an area in Brooklyn, in New York City, where if you had Jordans at that age, you was about it. You had a pair of Jordans on and you were about it. And crazy thing is, like, I remember kids, like, not even kids that were like outspoken, really outgoing type dudes that, yo, like the neighborhood kids like us and stuff, we used to look at them like, yeah, he's a little weird or something, but he got some dope sneakers.
Sneaker culture, I mean, I grew up being someone not having a lot of money, living in a trailer, you know, wearing the Skips, wearing the Voits, you know, whatever. And, you know, obviously I looked up to the people wearing the Jordans and, you know, things like that. You know, like any other kid that was growing up back in the 90s or, you know, late 80s. I mowed lawns all summer to get my first pair of Jordans. You know, all summer. That's all I could think about. I'm making the Jordans, I'm making the Jordans. And back then, it wasn't a numbered Jordan. It was the Jordans, that was it. So I mowed lawns all summer. I got my first pair of 5s with black and silvers, and that was where the love affair started and appreciation for it.
I love shoes. I fell in love with sneakers back in grade school. I mean, the first pair of sneakers that I like had to have, went to every store, every Sears, every Nike, every like Foot Locker, whatever, were the Scottie Pippen up-tempos. Those right there pretty much set me from where I needed to go. It was just the way the letters were on the side of the shoe, the comfortability of the shoe, and just being able to express yourself through a shoe. I mean, I enjoy that. As you can see, my collection is full of pinks and blues and bright colors because I like being flashy and I like, you know, being able to express who I am through a sneaker.
I've been collecting sneakers, really collecting them since 2005. That's when they were, you know, really getting into sportwear culture. And I really like, you know, funky colors, so that's why I've really been starting to collect since then.
The shoe that inspired me to start collecting, I never forget it. I was in 6th grade. Nike came out with a shoe called the Air Bacon. They actually had a discrepancy on it because the Air sign was written in Arabic like Allah, so they had a recall on the shoe and brought out a whole new line of them. The shoe was black, red with yellow laces. The Air Bacons, I'll never forget them. Most crispiest pair of shoes I've seen. When I laid my eyes on them, I was kind of in from there.
And what got me into sneakers as a kid, I always had just an infatuation with them, but you know, I couldn't afford Jordans. I didn't understand why at the time shoes were $100. Like, my family couldn't afford it. So I remember one of the first shoes I ever wanted, I saw Charles Barkley wearing some when he played for the Suns. It was after he played for the Sixers. It was some of the Nike Air Max CBs, and my mom wouldn't get them for me. She's like, oh, you know, you can go to, she took me to Payless. She's like, we'll just get some black shoes and I'll get you some orange and purple dyed stuff and you can paint them. So I did that and realized it wasn't the same, but you know, I was a little young kid, so I was excited. And ever since I couldn't get those and stuff, I just wanted them forever and begged and begged and begged and begged and did everything I could for shoes. And you know, eventually they gave in, and the first pair of shoes, the first pair of expensive Jordans that I ever had were the Jordan 10s. It was the all black stealth colorway when they came out, and I think they were 119 bucks or something, which was crazy at the time, and now it's like, you know, cheap, but those were the first things that got me, you know, that was the first pair that I had. And then the shoe that really got me into it was the Jordan 11. As soon as I saw, because the 10 came out the year before, it was my first experience with a Jordan. And as soon as I saw pictures and everybody wearing the 11, it was just over from there.
I play basketball back home, so you know that's just married to each other then, and what you wear on court then translates to what you wore off court. So that's what really was my introduction to sneaker culture, when I had to pick a pair of basketball shoes to play in this tournament. And right off the bat, I wanted it to match my uniform, then it had to be comfy, then it kind of had to have a cool little brand name on it. And that's what was my introduction was, and drew me to it. And then from then, it's just been eye-catching moments. So when I walk down the street or wherever I am, just looking at someone's feet and being like, okay. So it's purely aesthetic reasons, which what drew me to the culture.
Well, in third grade, my mom and dad separated for the year, and my mom moved me and my sister to Maryland. And it was on a Saturday. My mom asked me if I wanted some shoes. And I said, yeah, let's go. And we hopped on a metro, met up with my dad, and we bought a pair of Air Jordan 13s in black and reds. This was in '98. So basically, that shoe was my favorite because that one day out of the year, my mom and dad got back together to buy me that one shoe.
I've always been a sneakerhead. My collection's grown and shrank over the years. I always wear my kicks, so sometimes the collection has to shrink in size, but hopefully the way I'm building it now, especially with these masks, it allows me to build my collection a little bit more serious than before, where they're more than just shoes that I love, they're also a reminder of I worked with these materials. This is something very close to me.
I started collecting maybe when I was about 15, and it was very organic because I started skating when I was like 12. And you know, when you skateboard, you blow through shoes really quickly. You know, you rip them up. So like, I got, you know, better and better at skating. The better you get, the more you'll like go through a pair of shoes. So I was always looking for like a pair of shoes that would last when I was skating.
I mean, there are all different types of collectors. There's people who collect, you know, just running shoes, just basketball shoes, just lifestyle shoes. I mean, it's pretty much similar to, you know, the parallel of that being women who just collect heels, or some collect, you know, a different type of pump, or some collect flats or ballet slippers. You know, in sneaker culture, there are people who collect, you know, the different types of footwear based on the sport that they play, or the sport that they have an affinity to, or the lifestyle that they live. So there's different ranges of collectors, if you will. I personally don't like to go by the mantra of a collector because I don't buy shoes for the purpose of collecting them. So for me, you know, I recognize and can, you know, distinguish between the different types of people that are in footwear, but I personally won't live by the title of a collector.
The term hypebeast kind of stemmed from blog sites. Because of that, now shoes are more appealing and attractive to people, and it creates that price and that market to just go higher and the crave for the shoe. So people wanted and desire it more.
We had this thing in high school where you would leave and to go get new kicks at lunch and then come back and stunt. Like, boom, I just got the new J's, I just got the new Huaraches, I got the new Darwins, whatever was out and that was hot. People knew I was going to go get those shoes and come back and have some new hot shit on my feet, right? So I think it was the Jordan 9s that came out, you know, white, black, whatever. Those shits were ugly to me. They looked like bananas, in my opinion. And I was like, that shit's whack. And everybody was like, yo, Tyree, you got the new Jordan. I was like, no, those shits are whack. Like, why would I want them? But you know what I did get? I got these new Deons. Did you get those? Oh no, we didn't get those. We just got the J's. Oh, okay.
The way that I used to collect shoes has changed rapidly in the past even 8 months. Because the biggest thing when I started collecting shoes again after my hiatus, I started collecting shoes for kind of the wrong reasons. The DJing element was awesome. It promoted me being able to wear shoes again. But I was almost a hype beast. I was a hype beast. I don't have too much pride to admit that. I was a hype beast when I started recollecting.
To my understanding, a hype beast is just somebody that buys the most current trendy thing. Be it when it comes to shoes, you know, it'll be something that's quote unquote limited and something that just a whole bunch of people are a fan of, and you're not even sure your damn self if you really like the shoe, or you're just getting it to get approval from your peers that, hey buddy, good job. You got those, good job.
What a hype beast is somebody that just, you know, falls for the hype. You know, somebody that wants whatever, if it could be the ugliest pair of shoes, and you know, if they manufacture a lot of pairs of them, they're not gonna get them, but if you put a limited label on them or something, or so-and-so, some artist or tastemaker or somebody they look up to on Instagram puts them up and says they're cool, they're gonna go buy them. It's just, you know, people that feed in and create that hype and, you know, take a lot of the fun away from it from everybody else. But a lot of people, we're all hype beasts in different ways and stuff too. You know, you all follow other different people. You all, you know, this shoe isn't gonna be, you know, the Yeezy's not gonna be as popular and be in the news if they made 20 million pairs and everybody had one. It's not gonna be selling for $4,000 a pair on the day it comes out and things like that. So again, it's a give and a take. It's a love-hate relationship. That's kind of how the shoe game is. Like, there's certain elements of it that you love it and you hate it, but they go hand in hand. You can't take one away without losing the other, you know?
In addition to that, hype beast is now synonymous with bitch. Like your fellow sneakerheads will use this term basically to call you bitch. So it's like, you hype beast. You know, what? You calling me a hype beast? It's really funny.
Oh, the Concord release was such hype. I feel like it changed the game completely. Like, there were like 1,000 people at Nike Town, Chicago waiting out for these shoes. Like, when we went to go wait for my boyfriend's shoes that morning, there were just like, oh my God, we were at a finish line. There were like 25 people in line at 5:30 in the morning waiting for these shoes. Like, these shoes pretty much, I feel like they changed the game when it came to sneakers. Like, it turned everybody into a hype. Like, it was ridiculous.
Hello? Oh, you don't like these? Oh, that's too bad. Like, I don't care. This ain't about, you know, you and your judgment of what's on my feet. Like, you know, now granted, I mean, yeah, there is some things that you can wear and then, you know, it's clearly an attention getter, and everybody has those, you know. Yeah, you know what these are, you know what time it is. And then there's those other kicks where you're just like, oh, I see you thinking a little differently, you know. So at the end, it's all about expression, you know, self-expression.
Nah, I'm not even a sneakerhead, but what are all those? You want to explain those to me?
You want to know about those?
Nah, I'm for real.
All right,
that's why I'm
24
doing
pairs
this.
ever made.
Huh?
There's only 24 pairs ever made.
Okay, all right, hold on a second.
Those things are actually $6,000, man.
Get out of here.
Huh?
$6,000.
$6,000.
What are they? Explain on them.
Iron Maids, man. Iron Maids. There's only 24.
Well, they'll definitely make the documentary.
I think that's the greatest thing about like social media, so, you know, in general. Not just for kicks, just for life, for anything. Like, I mean, think about it this way. I personally think that sneakers are probably the most beautiful thing taken as a picture.
My name is Pedro from SoSerious.com. I'm editor-in-chief and co-founder of So Serious. It's a online sneaker blog, lifestyle, men's lifestyle website based out of New York. My personal collection consists of mostly skate-orientated stuff. You know, that's sort of what I grew up on. A lot of people associate sneakers with basketball and stuff like that, but for me it was skating, which is, you know, like almost like the polar opposite, you know. And I grew up very quiet and sort of like a lonely child for the first, you know, few years of my life. So sneakers sort of give me a way to express myself, and skate shoes have always been really over the top, you know, with the fat tongues and bright colors and limited releases and stuff like that. And so that's sort of, I'd say about 90% of my collection consists of like Nike SB, Adidas skateboarding, Supra, stuff like that.
You figure, you know, when people get up in the morning, they usually read the paper. And, you know, the blogs, I feel like, you know, they're the newspaper for the sneaker community. You know, a lot of them do repost off of each other, and, you know, breaking news, everyone leaks that same photo and whatever, but, you know, it's kind of the same way. I think blogs play a lot more of a part than it used to. I mean, I know a lot of the customizers I speak to now, I mean, not even just customs, but shoes in general, making the blog is like they made it. Like, it's like cool, like, oh, great, I mean, Soul Collector. that's cool. Well, I mean, that's not what I'm looking for, but I feel like they are the epicenter. They're the way people get out because, you know, it's a more common way. Like, you know, the Complex Network, they're buying everybody out now because they know that's their ticket. You know, that's their way to kind of monopolize that whole sneaker part of it because they know those are the roots that people go to.
OSD, obsessive sneaker disorder. I mean, I wouldn't say they're kind of like me. They're pioneers of getting information out, you know, on the internet as like the first radio show for sneakers. Nobody's done that. And now what they're doing with their school, you know, they're kind of making strides in educating the up and comings about this burgeoning culture. A lot of people actually don't want to call this a culture, but it's getting big enough to where it might almost become one.
Media outlets have to conduct themselves a certain way because number one, they have to do certain things as based on the journalism etiquette, and they also have to live at the mercy of advertisers for their parent companies. We have neither, so we can say whatever we want. Other companies have to live by making sure that the checks keep coming in and making sure that they live by those journalistic guidelines that exist and also tie up to the parent company. We don't have that. So, you know, I understand the position that a lot of blogs and sneaker sites are in. These brands need them, you know, and I think that that's an incredible thing that sneaker culture and sneakers in general has its own set of media outlets. We're just not one of them. If you make a good shoe, we're going to tell you it's a good shoe and we're going to tell you exactly why. If it sucks, we will tell you, and we'll also invite you on the show and ask you to explain why it sucks.
I think it's a good place for female collectors in the culture. It adds a good variety. It allows brands to elaborate more on the product that they're bringing out. I mean, you have all types of collectors from Sneaker Diva Mob in Chicago, or you have Susan and Rhyme in NYC. She has her own boutiques. And so it's a pretty good look.
The female sneaker culture is a little bit different than the guys. You know, guys know exactly what they want. They wait on lines, they do reselling, they'll buy from everywhere. The sneaker girl is a little bit different. We're not just the sports girls. We're not the tough. Everyone thinks that all girls are either lesbians or they're all just that sneaker jockey girl. Some of us are moms and some of us are regular fashion girls. Some of us read Vogue, some of us read People magazine. So we're a very different culture. We buy it because we like it and we buy it because we need it. Same thing like the guys, but we're not waiting on the lines.
The sneakers for guys, it's kind of like, it's normal now. It's like you're a guy, you're gonna be rocking foams, you're gonna be rocking Jordans, you know, then there's, you know, the skaters who like a lot of the SB. So the sneaker culture is like definitely kind of like a given when it comes to guys, but like when you're a girl and you're wearing shoes, I think the confidence factor even goes up a little bit more than it may for a guy because it's like you don't expect it. You don't expect to be walking around on campus and seeing a girl rock some Jordans or like rock a rare pair of shoes. So like when a guy sees that, it's like, wait, what?
That is the biggest assumption. The stigmatism that, you know, because you wear sneakers, you're gay. Why? Why does it have to be that? Why does a woman's sexuality even have to come into it? And this is what I think, women, you know, are not appreciated for just being true aficionados, lovers of the culture. There's always, you got those on, but you're a woman. What do you know about those? Or you're gay, or your boyfriend got you for those. You know, and you're faced with all this stigmatism that devalues your true heart and soul, so to say. And I mean, like, if not S-O-U-L, S-O-L-E, in that you love this culture, you know, and it takes away the women's stories and of how they got into it. Now, the stigmatism, you know, they're gay or lesbian or bi or whatever, is because it's a woman or women in a hyper-masculine subculture. So when she enters this quote-unquote space, right, how is she gonna perform her gender and her identity? Is it gonna be with a more masculine butch edge, or is she gonna try and maintain her femininity? But with female sneaker fiends, what I think is so unique is this careful balance.
FSF is Female Sneaker Fiends. It was just a website, you know, back in early 2000s. It was started by Lori. She's kind of like our mother, our soul mother, I guess. What do we want to call her? Our soul godmother is what we will call her.
Female Sneaker Fiend is a movement for the ladies. is pretty much the voice of the undermined female sneaker fiend herself.
I try to, make females know that they're not alone. Like, they're not the only ones out there collecting sneakers. They're not the only ones that are out there in line. They're not the only ones, they don't have to feel like tomboys, I guess. Like tomboys at 26. They don't have to feel like that, femininity is within the sneaker culture. And I guess I'm there to kind of enforce it.
There are ladies like myself that have a passion and core for sneakers, and that's all that they own, or they own multiple pairs of the same sneaker, or their collection is ridiculous. I can name several female sneaker fiends whose collections are retarded, such as Air Karina, Jin Jin in Miami, Sneaker Sandy in Sweden. These ladies right here, their collections is comparable to a male counterpart, and you put them together, and 9 times out of 10, you're gonna, scratch your head like, I don't know who I should give the award to, because her joints are crazy.
It's almost like you're in a pitch dark room and then there's light. That's exactly what it's like when you put on a rare pair of sneakers. It's like, all right, I can't see anything. Oh my God. There's a little bit of light and everybody's attention is just directed to somebody's shoes, because it's like one of those rare models or something that you don't see very often, or just like in my case, like I'm a female, so it's even like no matter like what shoe a girl wears, if it's Nike, if it's Jordans, they automatically get attention just because they're a female. And this happens all the time. I see it happen to girls all the time. It's happened to me a few times, and then it even goes, like I said, even way more elevated when it's a rare pair of shoes. It's just like, oh my God, like the light just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially like when it's an older model. So it's just kind of like really funny how sneakers just like really have like this glowing effect on the community.
You can give us turquoise, you can give us teals, you can give us a dark gray, you can give us, silvers, and, match it up with other colors like you do for the fellas.
The problem though with some of the sneaker companies is that it's all run by men, and it's men putting fashion spins on what they think women want to wear. However, we don't want a pink sneaker. I don't want something cutesy with florals on it unless it's a hard floral. They forget that New York City is a hard town. I'm sure LA, where fashion forward is, Chicago. There's women in those cities that don't want to wear pink and floral and skippy kind of things. So I think the industry is not paying attention to what women want to wear. And I think a few more women have to step up to the plate, and they have to let women design for women.
I'm kind of lucky because I wear 7 men's, so I get a little more than some of my friends. There's some girls who are serious collectors, and they got small feet, and sneaker companies have not understood that there are serious women out there with small feet. They act like they're kids, like the only sneakers they can get are kids. They don't get any special releases, and these are girls that would literally travel the world to get these sneakers. Like, they know all the new releases that are coming out. They're waiting online for sneakers that don't even come out in their size. So I continue to be frustrated, and FemaleSneakerFiend.com, we continue to have our petition and say, sneaker companies, you got to make the hottest sneakers in small sizes because we'll buy them. We got girls who are crazy about their sneakers as much as any guy, and I don't think the culture respects that, and I don't think the companies respect that.
Founder of FemaleSneakerFiend.com. A big reason why there's girls walking around with sneakers talking that shit. Okay? She was the winner of the first Fashion at Your Average sneaker battle in Boston. So it's only right that she passed the trophy up to the Purple Swag winner.
When I think about sneaker shows, I think of Sneaker Pimp, Sneaker Con, H-Town Sneaker Summit, Shootopia. A lot of these different shows contribute to the culture, and all you see is tons of shoes. Just think of a gymnasium filled with shoes, and different clothing brands and boutiques, skateboarders, a lot of music. I feel like a lot of shows bring a good urban feel to the culture, which is necessary for the culture. It's just a positive place for kids to come out, adults, it's an all-age event usually, to come out and just share their sneakers and just share what everyone loves the most, their souls.
Aces, Kobe's, Sixes.
George, you know I'm always shooting.
Camera.
How you doing?
Good.
You ready to roll?
Yeah.
Where we going, George?
We're going to Cleveland for Cleveland Got Soul in Ohio.
up, Sneaker fam? It's your boy Jumpman. I'm here at Cleveland, Got Soul in Cleveland, Ohio, for a sneaker event. And I'm just displaying, but there's all kinds of sneakerheads here selling, displaying shoes, t-shirts, hats, everything you can think of here at this event. I appreciate Cleveland Got Soul for inviting me here off of Twitter. And this is my display right here. And a couple of my favorites. You know the Ray Allen, because he's my favorite player. This one of one here that used to be owned by the man himself, MJ. A buddy of mine knows MJ and said, if you want this, you gotta get it right now. So that was one I had to jump on. Recently came up on the 2001 snakeskins for a very, very good price. You know, I like the lemonade bottom. You know, it shows maturity of the shoe. And this is me, man. This is my love, my addiction for gym shoes, and any event I can go to, I'm gonna try to make it to.
Up here, we tallied it up and ended up raising $11,000 today.
Awesome. We out here in H-Town about to check out the Sneaker Summit 2012. Let's go run into my man, Premium Pete, see what's going on.
We're here with Lace Up. This is Premium Pete from SneakerTube TV. We're at the H-Town Sneaker Summit Winter Session 2012 in the Reliance Center in Houston, Texas, man. Why don't you take a look at around what's going on? Take a look. Why don't you move this around? Take a look at what's going on right here. Collectors from all over the world, brands from all over the world. We got people from all over the world, girls, boys, kids, babies. Man, Texas, man, they do everything big out here. Premium Pete. Let's go around, take a look, and speak to some people. All right?
Lauren Luna just moved to Houston 6 months ago from Columbus, Ohio. I'm a trained painter. I've been in art all my life. I graduate in May with my Master's of Fine Arts. I took my paintings from the canvas onto shoes, and that's about it. Recently, we started something called Custom Ladies. It has the custom sneakers that I do along with models.
Right now we're with Bobby Fresh. Bobby Fresh, one of the guys started in 2007, one of the go-to tee and apparel mixes for kicks.
Started with an in-house brand and it kind of took off. Karmaloop, PinkYourShoes.com, all the big websites.
So there you have it. Listen, H-Town Sneaker Summit, Winter 2012. Bobby Fresh, Laced Up, Premium Pete. We out here. Let's go talk to some more people. Let's see what's going on. Listen, there's collectors here. There's brands here. There's grandmothers here. Everybody's here. Texas's own Sam Cole 12, a collector of many different things, but definitely sneakers. Vans, Jordan, Nike, Adidas. Listen, anything that has neon colors and fur, this guy is getting. What brings you out to H-Town Sneaker Summit every year? What brings you out?
Friends and family. It's way beyond the sneakers. We come out here to enjoy life, hang out with the crew, hang out with my friends from all over Houston. The guys that come in from New York, we barely get to see each other twice a year. Absolutely. We come out to hang out, have friends, food, go see a ball game, and eventually come out to one of the best shows in Texas.
What's the benefits of coming to H-Town Sneaker Summit for you?
Just mingling with the sneaker community,
man, looking at some of the independent clothing brands, and just looking for different sneakers, man, different things that's out there.
It started in high school. We was just a group of friends. I mean, we always just hanging out, and then we decided after our first semester of college, we came home over the break, and we was like, let's start a clothing line. So we started it January 6, 2010, and we've been 2011. So we've been doing it for about a year now. And our website is GenerationFlight.net. It's kind of like dedicated to promoting positive progression. The movement is Generation Flight. G-Flight is the clothing line. Check out our website. We got a scholarship available. We got all kind of stuff popping.
We got Shay out here, Sneaker Pimps, H-Town's finest. My man, laced up, H-Town Sneaker Summit. We out here.
I'm Pete Fay, the creator and founder of the Sneaker Pimps tour. I started the show about 10 years ago in Sydney, Australia. Small show, little like shoe exhibition, and 300 something shows later, like Sneaker Pimps is like a cultural event. It includes hip hop music, street art, skateboarding, basketball. Everything we feel makes up sneaker culture.
Yeah, bitch, coming for it all. Yeah, bitch, coming for it all. I'm a slutty boy, I'm a slutty boy, I'm a slutty boy. Fuck the bitch, that's what he for. Just got word from my man on the island. He said he need a gun, and he's on the street. He let the gun, but can't find her.
You know, I'd like to think that, you know, way back in the day when we started this, we kind of like were doing something that no one else had seen before. And, you know, I think that, you know, especially here in America, like when we did our first tour out here back in '03, no one really knew what it was. You know, no one knew really about collecting sneakers. There was heads here for sure, but like, it wasn't a culture back then. And then over the years doing it, like, you know, I feel like in some aspects we definitely raised awareness. So I'd like to think that maybe in the early days we raised a little bit of awareness about that it is a culture and people are really into this all over the world. And you know, now, I mean, look, I just love throwing a great show, and I love people to come out to these shows and have a good time and a memorable experience. So, you know, just all about providing a really great show for people who come out to our events.
People get robbed for shoes, people get killed for shoes, jumped. There's been a lot of events over the past couple of years of kids getting beat up pretty badly for a pair of sneakers. I mean, a group of 5 guys jumped one guy for a shoe. It's kind of petty, you know, but, you know, just hope it never happens to me and hope they give me the opportunity to just let them go, because it's just material, and at the end of the day, I can't take it with me, and it doesn't mean for so much. It's just something I like to do, and if I really like it, then I'll just buy another pair.
The only other people who are going to care that you've got a sneaker are online with you.
I want the world to know that if anybody ever finds me on one of these lines for a goddamn shoe, shoot me. Just fucking murder me. That's all I'm saying, because clearly my life has no significant meaning if I'm on the line that long for a goddamn shoe.
The quest for some pricey limited edition footwear spiraled into chaos this morning.
It was a mad dash to get inside Stonecrest Mall, and police say it was an illegal one as well. But the anticipation for the new Nike Air Jordans was just too much for some to take. So instead of waiting for 8 for the mall to open, they pried this store open themselves.
Little kids out here couldn't get the shoes. I seen little kids crying because they can't get shoes though. 30 pair of tennis shoes to a store.
Crazy up in there. I don't have time to sit up in there. People are already trying to fight and everything. It's not even worth it.
I'm investing these. Look at that. That's real.
With the Concords, it was just straight pandemonium. It was ridiculous. People busting down the mall doors, jumping on the mall car that they got for the display, everything. It was just like Elvis was back in the building to put it back. You know what I'm saying? Just Michael Jackson just stepped on the scene doing his greatest hits and people just rushed the door. Cops ain't know what to do. When the door bust, like me and my man sat there and was laughing for the fact that it looked like they opened a cage for lions and the dude just backed up. I'm like, you a cop with a taser and a gun. You sitting there watching all these people just rush the door and break it. So like, I think that made it to the point that was my last camp out ever.
Arts that I don't love are the things that people are willing to do to manifest how bad they are as people to get sneakers. That is what bothers me. The people who walk around with the only motive of what can I get for me?
The ones that just
what's
trying to get
in this
profit.
for me to get? I don't care about what anyone else has to go through. I don't care about how much something costs. I don't care about who gets hurt. People are willing to go through anything to get certain sneakers, and it's a horrible, horrible depiction on our culture, especially when it manifests itself when people get hurt.
And violence and murder.
Other people that have nothing to do with sneakers lose their jobs. There are a lot of things at play when people really manifest their ugly side to obtain sneakers, and that's not what we're about.
When I was younger, people, I mean, nobody got shot for their sneakers, but people, I've seen people get punched in the face. I've seen people get punched out of their sneakers, like literally punched, hit the floor, shoes off.
Now it's even to a point where it's a shame though, because you see people getting, jacked. I mean, people were always getting jacked, but now, people are being followed home and stuff. They're like, my boy's shop, some kids got followed home and got held up at gunpoint at their house over some Kanye shoes. It's like, is it that serious? Like, that's the type of stuff that makes me want to almost get out of it, where it's like, damn, it's not that serious, it's not that important. It makes you put your real values out there.
There's been plenty of times, I've woken up at 5 a.m., got that pair of shoes, and I basically looked around when I'm walking towards my car, because I don't want anybody to sneak up on me while I got my shoes on, because people know when you walk out of the store, people know you got shoes in your bag.
Certain places you go, I wouldn't recommend wearing all your best or your finest. You would like to look your best, but unfortunately, because of the crime and because of how people are, you can't really wear your best of the best all the time.
Yeah, you do want to be the only one with that shoe. You do want to have that exclusive hot quick striker that, that newest dope as Jordan, but it's not worth getting killed over. And Nike needs to realize that this world is not a fun place to live in nowadays. Like, people are ruthless. They don't have no hearts. How dare you kill somebody over some $200 pair of shoes? What does your life really mean if you're killing over $200 pairs of shoes?
As far as like criminogenic behavior and sneakers, there's definitely a correlation between that. I think it's more, with the youth. I think that with all age brackets, for every generation, there is a definite age bracket where people just commit more crimes. So usually the criminogenic age bracket is from like 15 to like 24. So those are probably the people who are standing online getting robbed or going to the lines and robbing the people. So that is definitely a direct correlation between crime and, these sneakers, especially if they're at like $200 a pop. I mean, you could rack up, if you have a whole bunch of teens online with their mother's hard-earned money at midnight or 9 in the morning or whatever time the shoe store opens or decides to close, if you come there with, some sort of weapon and you get like the first 7 people in line, 7 people times $200 is $1,400. That's mortgage right there. So I'm not saying that it's a cool thing, but I understand why it happens, because the prices on the sneakers are so out of control.
I think if they up the amount of shoes they release, or like the amount of a specific shoe they release, yeah, it would definitely take away from the value. But I'm not saying up the quantity, another 1,000, 2,000 pairs, but up it enough so that you avoid, specific acts of violence. I mean, the pigeons are probably like the prime example of, one of the most limited shoes, and people getting jumped and mugged like blocks from the store just for these shoes. It's ridiculous.
I gotta say, I'm a mom first, so having a child, I have a girl, so I don't have a sneakerhead person, but seeing all the kids, my concern is for the kids waiting online, and the sleeping overnight, and that limited release. It would be nice if there are some things that are limited to stores, but we have enough volume to support it so that the kids are not waiting online and getting jumped after they get their sneaker. So, urge parents to wait online too. I like when there's a Saturday release as opposed to a Wednesday release when the kids want to cut school and do things like that. It's a hard problem, and it's a very hard problem to manage because it's not just the kids who are getting online, there's adults online, and it's a very odd thing to like have it coexist. So I think there is an issue there. So I think we all have to come up with different ways to do the limited releases.
If I had to point a finger at someone that's probably adding to this problem, it would be the brand of the sneaker, because they only send a certain amount of shoes when they know that there's more people that want them. You know, they may send 10 or 15 of these shoes to a store and know that there's 50 or 100 people outside that one store trying to buy this shoe. And then when they don't get it, they're enraged. And they're running around trying to find a shoe and they can't find it. So then violence kicks in, they can't control themselves. So I think that the sneaker companies should provide more of the shoes at the time of release.
Why only make a certain amount of shoes if you're putting this information out there so far in advance? Because they know what they're doing. They know that them putting this information out there 6-8 months in advance is gonna start a buzz and it's gonna start the hype. So at the end of the year, when they get these shoes, there's gonna be people going crazy over them.
That's what I mean by more quantity. You know, more of each size. 15 shoes per store is not enough, in my opinion, because you know, there were people calling and they were saying, oh, we only have an 8 and a 9 left. So it would have been more people coming to the store. And there's probably more people that just woke up saying, oh shoot, I missed out on this shoe. And all they have is an 8 and an 8 and a half.
Hey buddy, those are nice sneakers.
Thanks. Barney?
As you can tell, purple is my favorite colorway.
Running shoes play a big deal in the culture. It's actually one of the things that started the culture. It's still very popular in the culture now, and it's still very competitive. You have huge running events that go on. There's one in Texas. You also have Bob Ronker, who has his own running museum.
My name is Bob Ronker, and my wife, Marianne, and I have had the running spot here in Cincinnati now for over 30 years. We have, as a person would come into the room from the front entrance, beginning on the left, we have our older shoes. Our oldest shoe is a Spike going back to the 1940s, and then it revolves around and goes around clockwise rather, until we come back here with the shoes at the end of the last century, in the 1990s, just before the year 2000. And then interspersed throughout, we have various articles about DeHart Hubbard, the first African American to win an individual Olympic gold medal. He also was world record holder in the long jump. He won this at the 1924 Paris Olympics. We have the uniform of Julie Isferding, who made the inaugural historic women's Olympic marathon team in 1984. And she also was local, went to a local high school and college. When somebody comes into our shoe museum, they first see the shoes here dating back to the 1940s. And I have this shoe up here. It's one of the Chuck Taylor All-Stars. They've been around forever, and I call it the original cross-training shoe. Other shoes that were very popular at the time are by Adidas, the Olympia, and the Country. And again, you'll notice how this comes straight down, and then you start having a little bit of a flare here. And then the flare was taken to extreme, and unfortunately, this point here, if a person's landing on their heel, that would become the fulcrum and it would snap the foot down, and it really wasn't probably the best thing for people. The Aztec by Reebok, this was $60, an unheard of price at the time. The most expensive shoe up to that point was probably the Nike Tailwind, which was $50, and then the majority were around $40. But this was handmade in England at the time. So Reebok was just a very young company, certainly not one of the major players at the time. Brooks Vantage was listed as the #1 shoe, and it did have a couple of innovations. One being what was called the Varus wedge, built into the shoe, where the inside was a little bit higher than the outside, and this would help control the foot, and for people who tended to overpronate. Adidas wasn't through with innovating, though. They had this particular shoe that if you wanted, you had 4 separate chambers here. And if you wanted a little more stability, what you would simply do, you'd open this up, twist it to the chamber that you wanted to be flected, and then you would pump it up, and you could get more or less stability. This is the Nike Air Max, and this was the first visible air soled shoe. Previously, the air bladders was totally encapsulated in the shoe and created some confusion. When Nike did this, their sales just exploded. I think running shoes have been kind of the laboratories of athletic shoes and spun off to cross-training and basketball and walking and everything. But there's a lot of your athletic shoe companies, the founders and a lot of the people working at them were very involved with running. And again, a lot of the technologies, as we go and we can look at some of the other shoes, you'll see things that come along, the very first air-soled shoe, what that was like, and some of the other innovations. Some worked and some didn't work.
Hi, my name is Mark Sheehan. I'm the Vice President of Product Development here at K-Swiss, and want to welcome you to the running event here in Austin, Texas. This is our 4th year attending this event, and it continues to grow, and it really motivates everyone in our industry to start bringing new ideas and new technologies and introduce them in this forum every year.
Basically, I went into podiatry primarily because I was very involved and active in running and endurance sports, and wanted to pursue a career that kind of allowed me to tap into foot and ankle biomechanics and helping people stay active.
My name is Jeff Dill. I'm the product manager for trail running shoes here at Salomon. Salomon's a company that's been doing mountain sports, ski, snowboard, binding since 1947. Regarding a very specific product, this is the XR Crossmax. The shoe's positioned to be something we actually call door to trail, so someone who lives close by to run to a trailhead and then allow them to enjoy trail running once they get there.
Rick Wellham, VP of Sales for Brooks Sports, one of the oldest running companies here in America, been around since 1914. Brooks has always been known for its science, the biomechanical research that goes into our product. DNA is our cushioning, and it's actually cushioning that whether you're 100 pounds or 300 pounds, when you run, it works for you.
Hi, I'm Steve Gartside with Newton Running. Today I want to tell you a little bit about some of our Newton Running shoes. What I've got here are the men's and women's Gravity for 2012. Every Newton shoe has this technology that protrudes right out of the midfoot, because as you engage the ground naturally, you tend to do so with your midfoot. So we put our technology package right here.
Through my training, I started actually working in a running shoe store, primarily because I wanted to learn about footwear while I was training, because obviously footwear affects the health of people that wear them. So while I was a podiatry student, I started working in the store, and I saw very quickly that people will go to shoe stores or go to footwear experts and try to find out if there's a way to address certain conditions they might have, an injury or discomfort or other problems. And so that kind of fascinated me from the retail level. And early on, I saw that footwear affects our health. And there are studies that show that cultures that go barefoot are less prone to certain foot conditions and foot pain that we develop in cultures that wear shoes.
Hi, I'm Mark Connors. I'm one of the sales managers for Echo's Performance Division. It's one of 5 operating divisions of Echo. Echo is a 40-year-old footwear company founded in 1963. We are obviously known as a casual lifestyle footwear company in the U.S. And 3 years ago, we entered the performance running market with a technology called Biome.
So this Blade Max technology allows the athlete to have this looks very heavy. I can't show you the weight on TV, but it actually is very light. and where part of the secret of that is the spacing between each blades creates a great flexible product, but again offers that extra amount of resiliency and cushioning that a runner needs to support themselves.
My name is Rob Cananello. I'm a podiatrist, been practicing for the last 20 years. I'm currently the president-elect of the American Academy of Podiatric Sports Medicine, and I'm a global clinical advisor for Special Olympics International. I think we all have brand loyalty if it's drinking Coke or Pepsi, and the same thing goes with shoes. If you're brought up on Nike, you're going to probably want to wear Nike all the time. But the good thing is that nowadays is that there's lots of options within each different brand. The same token is that instead of just saying I want to buy a brand, I want to wear a New Balance shoe, I want to maybe look for a shoe that maybe fits a certain category, like a neutral shoe or a supportive shoe or a stability shoe. And within that, there's so many different brands, and you never know until you try it and say, wow, this shoe actually feels a lot better. The reality too is that these shoes change so much over the years. So what you might have liked about a shoe in the past might be totally different now, and you might find that in a different brand.
My favorite shoe of all time? That's a good question. I'd probably have to say the shoe I've put the most miles on in my lifetime of running and doing triathlons would be the Asics DS Trainer.
My favorite shoe growing up, I'm a Nike fan from early on. Used to love to run in the Nike Internationalist. That was my all-time favorite running shoe, so from way back in the day. So if you got a pair of those out there in size 9, let me know.
Interestingly, my favorite shoe growing up, and I'm significantly dating myself, was I really thought I had arrived when I was younger that I could wear PF Flyers because you were a really cool kid when you could wear PF Flyers. And then as I got older and I became a runner, I thought I was the coolest guy in the world when I could wear a Nike Air Max running shoe.
My favorite sneaker would have had to have been an original K-Swiss. I played a lot of tennis, and that was my go-to shoe. It was the K-Swiss Classic. Might not have been the coolest looking shoe on the block, but it was the most comfortable to me.
Sneaker releases are pretty exciting. If it's a shoe that you're really looking forward to, sometimes you get the butterflies in your stomach the night before camping out. Some sneaker releases require you to camp out, but it's a pretty good environment, depending on where you're camping out at. Certain releases can be a little more dangerous than others. We're all sitting out in line with money in our pockets, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist.
I always used to face, sexism and remarks, that why am I in the sneaker? But I'm a person too, and like anybody, with a soul could get the soul. So I don't know why, people would get mad, but it's all in the name of the game. It's survival of the fittest. So if you're gonna wait 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, I even waited 3 days once in a camp out line. You got to give it up to that dedication.
As you can see, got a long line. You probably can see them behind me, but it is what it is. Look at the culture. Look at all the people. It's freezing out here. Right here, we about to walk right here for the line, for the raffle, for the KDs, Kevin Durant Nerfs. Supposed to release, they supposed to been open, but I don't know what's going on. I'm about to sign my name on the list now, so I can get hopefully a shot at the shoes. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm out here for the KD Nerfs, man. It's crazy out here. As you can see, man, got the long ass line. It's crazy, dude.
How long you been out here?
Man, I just got here, man. Like, to be honest, but it's a raffle, so everyone got a chance. I don't care if it's 200 people in line. We all got a slim chance.
First name, Mike. Mike. Next name, Terrence. Terrence. Hold on. Be quiet, y'all. Calm down. Nicky. Stop by Nicky.
Life and times of a sneakerhead, man. It's crazy out here. Been out here since 6:30. It's frigid, chopping, dedication. Okay, Miss Lady. Anthony, they call me Mr. Sucker Free. At Mr. Sucker Free is a Twitter. From Philly. Came down here, residing in B-More. We down here in PG this morning. Been out here since 6:30 for the love of the sneaks. Been collecting 28 now. Been collecting since on the strength of me, my own money, since I was 14, man. Like, I ain't always grow up privileged, so the reason why I got it, you know what I'm saying, people is always fly where I come from. Most of y'all come from, grab fresh kicks, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, like I played ball a lot, and it was, what you notice at the courts is you can have no game, but if your feet is fly, you get picked early. So it just came from that, you know what I'm saying, and hooping, and just been collecting. Now I've been getting my own money for years. I make sure try to grab everything flames, everything hot. That's what we say in Philly. If it's hot, it's flames. You heard me?
Last one, Catalino.
No puede ser. Yo.
Are you serious?
I was trying to get the KDs, but you know how I go, man. It was fair and square, but I ain't get my hand on them. But it was nice out here today, though. I think the sneaker form is going in a good place right now. I mean, I see the love out here. There was a lot of sneakerheads out here. Everybody talk about hype beast this, hype beast that. I still think it's a lot of us good sneakerheads out there. So I'm happy with the game right now. Let's just keep it going, keep it fair, keep it honest.
All right, Christian is 15. Geraldo is 16. Geraldo is 16. Fabio, whatever your name is, I apologize, 17. John, 18. Julio, 19. Keith, 20. Chris, 21. Terrego, whatever your name is, 22. Devin, 23. Howard, 24. Lee, 25. We all out here for the love of shoes, man. You know, cats from the 90s, respect, you know, older head, you know what I'm saying? OG. You know what I mean? I've been doing it since like 2000, and you just do it for the love of sneakers, man, for the love of being fresh, you know what I'm saying? Everybody expresses themselves through what they wear.
It's kind of like you, as a sneakerhead, you competitive. You know it's a competition. You competing against other people who want the same thing as you. And it's a sport, but at the same time, it can get a little reckless and people can get a little careless because people are used to having their way, and it's not going to always, this shoe game teach you everything is not going to go your way.
It's like the nerfs. Like KD, I feel like the reason people are finally out here is because they came out with these limited color styles, and themes. The more you come out with the themes, the more people start wanting them.
Man, it's basically the hottest shoe of the year, man. One of the best concepts in Nike basketball history. And plus Kevin Durant, that's probably, the best player in the NBA right now. LeBron James, of course. It's probably the hottest shoe in America right now. Probably gonna go for like $900. So we've been out here about 3-4 days, you know what I mean?
Wednesday.
In the murder capital. Sneaker thugging. Yep, freezing, 30 degrees, all night, no sleep, no eating, nothing. Oh man.
Yeah. I'm 2 in line.
Number 3.
You're number 3.
Out of 7 shoes, 300 in America, in the world. I mean, like one of my favorite old shoes, the Shaq Pumps, Dan Marino, Nikes, Barry Sanders, stuff the young kids don't even remember, you know what I mean? Just the real classics.
Hey, this man's got a pair of hot shoes.
He did?
Show him your shoes, Ivan.
What you got, the denim LeBrons?
He got something better. The vagina LeBrons. China, not LeBron.
Oh, the Chinas? How much you want for them? Oh, you got some Chinas? Damn. How much you want for them?
What you got in your pocket?
He got $1 million.
What size is they?
You got $1 million. These sizes 11, they fit you, you wear size 10.
Damn, them ones is nice. What's the lowest you do them for?
What's the lowest I do them for?
Well, there's nothing I can do about it here.
If you want them,
this morning they blew it.
If you want them right now, I'll do them for you for $360.
360?
Yep.
Whoa.
Out the door.
Whew. That's steep. I'm a shoe expert, man.
You're a shoe expert, do you know about this thing?
Yeah, they real limited.
These nerfs, man. I'm here for these nerfs. Kevin Durant. DC's own,
What number are you in line?
Number 8, man. Got out here yesterday, Friday, 4 p.m. These people been out here since Wednesday, so they ended to win it.
How long you think you're gonna be into this?
Till I die. Till I'm in the next world or something.
So you like the culture? You feel like you're a part of the culture?
Yeah, I am the culture.
Okay.
These are a really big pickup for me because I feel like these are my first Kevin Durant, so I'm gonna wear these jonks. I'm not gonna resell either because I don't believe in reselling because it's just, I don't know, I love my shoes too much to give them away.
I haven't done a lineup like this in maybe
3-4 years. So I originally came for the Kobe's. Let's see. This is my size, yeah. Oh wow, holy shit. Wow, holy crap.
First time seeing these, huh?
Yeah, first time planes out the box. Very, very impressed. Yeah, I originally came out for these. Wow, these are these are amazing.
Stand up and hold them up for the camera.
Galaxy. Oh, I forgot about that.
See that?
It's stitched on the Mamba.
Hold on.
That is my first time seeing these with you guys, so these are what? Oh man, very impressed.
What else did you get?
And then, like I said, I was only expecting to come out with one pair, because that's all I really wanted. But you know, I was like, you know, what the heck? I have extra cash, and if they have my money, I'm gonna go ahead and buy the Kevin Durant's, which I pulled through and got him. Yeah, these are nice. The 3M swoosh, stars. That stitched the Gullwing, I think, yeah, whatever the heck that's called. I don't care. Again, I never really wanted these. I kind of think, you know, I never liked them, but just seeing them now, they're really nice. Then you got the Galaxy plate there.
So why does everybody want these glow in the dark shoes, you think?
I'll tell you why I want them. Well, I originally wanted the Kobe's because it was a very unique shoe with the patterns and the colors, and again with the translucent glow-in-the-dark sole. The Kevin Durant's for me, it just reminds me of a spaceship now, which is kind of cool. They got the 3M there, and you got the pull for lockdown, which is really crazy. Pull for lockdown. That's. I'm impressed with this. I'm glad I bought these now.
So do you plan on selling these or keeping
No,
them?
hell no. I'm keeping these.
Customizing this came a long way. It used to be looked at as bootlegging or fakes, but now it's looked at as an art form. You get to express yourself visually on a shoe and create it your own way, your own style, your own swag, so to say, or so to speak. So you have the Moshes and the Sneaker Fairies, PMK Brothers, but there's all kinds of customizers in the game.
My name is Andre, CEO of PMK. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Me and a partner got started back in 2004. It was more of a basement operation up until about 2010. And that's when I felt at that time that we can move Pimp My Kicks at the time, the name we were really going by. We still go by Pimp My Kicks now, but we're moving it towards a brand of PMK. At that time I felt we can make this a brand, and that's what we're striving to be now, is a huge custom lifestyle brand.
Pimp My Kicks does custom sneakers. I mean, the name Pimp My Kicks kind of says it all, but we're more than just sneaker pimps. We actually do perfectly made kicks. We have 2 lines now that we offer. One's a luxury brand line and one offers painted sneakers. So anything that you can imagine can actually be done, whether it's laser engraved or hand painted. Pimp My Kicks is the company that you go to for that. I discovered I can draw at the age of 7. And my stepdad was also an artist. He told me draw exactly what I see. I think that was the biggest thing that worked for me as it pertained to art, because that's exactly what it is. You know, information enters the brain, travels through the arm, and you recreate it as you see it. And so what stops a lot of artists from being able to complete a task or to do something is that ability. Well, my mimic ability was great, but finding an identity was a little bit tougher because I'd never had any training or never had any schooling or anything like that as it pertained to art, you know, even mixing colors. I didn't even like color starting this whole thing. You know, I was a black and white artist. Everything that I did had to be black and white. I thought it had more contrast. As I got into sneakers and more art, I found that color was something that I enjoyed mixing in. It's a challenge to find the colors and to nail it, especially when you're dealing with people who are very specific.
I mean, any canvas is good for me. What I noticed I haven't done yet is some 6s, some J's. I don't get a lot of custom orders for that. You know, people they consider their Jordans like their holy grail, so they don't want to mess those up, but I can turn those up too. You know, every shoe is like a piece of paper to me. You know, if I visualize the image that can go on the best pair of sneaker for it, I'm gonna do it. Me personally, I do what's called impulse shopping. If I see it on the internet and I want those, I'm just gonna find out where it's at. I'm gonna get them early. I don't really like to do the lines. I don't have time to do the lines except for when I do Kicks on the Line, my video series on YouTube, where I showcase what sneaker lovers wear to sneaker culture and sneaker releases. Dog. Yo. B. What happened? Yo, you making the X look bad right now, man. Yo, son. Poppy, what happened, yo? Yo, you quiet because you got electric curls on, man. I want to know what happened. That you coming to get some 11 low red bottoms, and you already know how flea everybody in the XB. What happened? I tell my sneaker lovers that we don't care about sneaker prices in the X, and here you go. What happened, man? You just coming outside, baby? What happened? Man, you done disappointed me for the day, man. You disappointed me for the day. Sneakerfairy.com, female sneaker fiend. All right, Pradas, you coming from the club? From the crib. I never saw anybody wear Pradas with some sweatpants. That's some BX swag right there. This is what we do. That's what we do. We turn anything up. You know what I'm saying?
When I first started, I started painting shoes in 04. And back then, custom shoes were really looked as a fake or a bootleg. If Nike didn't drop them, they're fugazi, they're fake, and you got shunned. And you know, it was something that I wasn't looking for acceptance. You know, when you're an artist, you're kind of doing what you want. You know, I think the culture right now, it's totally got a little different. I think people just want to wear shoes and do things to feel accepted, as opposed to expressing themselves. But in terms of the culture now, I mean, I feel it is more accepted, only because, you know, things like Nike ID and all these other things, you know, they make it a little more accepting to have someone do try to customize and whatnot. But definitely starting out, it was, you know, we got a lot of hate from the mainstream. It was more of an underground thing. We had a couple of people who would just bounce ideas off of each other, and you know, we were kind of like our own little brotherhood. You know, and now it's like everyone and their mom's trying to customize, which is great. I think it's awesome that, you know, people are inspired to try doing it. You know, I get asked all the time, what kind of paint do you use? What kind of whatever. You know, I tell people, you know, I can go to Home Depot and I can find all the tools there, but I can't build a house. You know, so I can tell you what to buy, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's a lot of trial and error, and you got to learn for yourself. In terms of the art part of it, I was always into art. You know, my grandmother was an art teacher. And, you know, I was always around art. I was always in the back drawing sneakers, cartoons, Ren and Stimpy, Garfield, whatever. And so, you know, those two things are always a part of my life, you know, and in terms of, you know, me doing the art on the shoes. I went to school for art and obviously collected shoes and worked in Foot Action and every other chain whatsoever to get my shoes. And I came across an article with someone doing some sneaker art. You know, me being a competitive person, I was like, I could do that. So I went down and brought it out, busted up a pair of Air Max 90s in my mom's basement and made a Dipset colored pair of 90s. You know, it was like 8 shades of purple. It was horrible. But, you know, I wore them out. You know, I wore them to the barbershop, you know, try to stunt, whatever. And, you know, they're like, whoa. You know, when they come out, like, I made them. So they're like, you know, can you make us a pair? So I made them for the barbers. You know, obviously the barbers are rocking them. Word of mouth is coming through. And that's how the name started to build. When I first started doing customs, I was obviously an artist first. So I did a lot more high detailed things. You know, I did things with portraits and crazy album artwork and things like that. Like I actually did a pair of dunks with the Liquid Swords artwork for the jizz that they wore on stage. It was pretty cool. You know, that kind of more detailed things than something like the Beetlejuice dunk that I had done. A little more back to my roots, a little more detail, more actual art, as opposed to just doing a colorway or doing a pattern, things like that. That's kind of what it's progressed into.
you know, people that knew me from back then were always just like, yo, go back to what you were doing, go back, you know, why don't you do some more dunks? Well, people don't really buy dunks like that anymore. You know, obviously, it's kind of moved up into the more higher performance shoes, like the LeBrons and things like that. The Statue of Liberty pair was obviously inspired from the SBs as well as the Hyper Dunks, the Hyper Dunks, the Hyper Posits. There are so many Hyper things nowadays. But I saw the first pictures and I decided I wanted to make them on LeBron because I was known for doing LeBrons. I mean, everyone thought I just did LeBron customs because that's all that was ever posted. That's all I ever saw in our day of age of blogs and whatnot. But I did the Elite because I just thought it was going to work out really well. And you know, after the popularity of that shoe, I saw a lot of other customizers do their own renditions on that shoe or other shoes and whatever. But I would like to put the flag down in the sand and say I was the first one to do a Statue of Liberty custom.
One of the things I've been able to experience in the culture is the different sides to it, the art side, which I was fortunate enough to meet a guy named Freehand Prophet, and he breaks down shoes and turns them into gas mask and just creates this masterpiece, you know, a fully functional gas mask made out of all sneakers.
I've been an artist all my life. It grabbed me at a real young age, and before I knew it, it was a major part of my identity, and I continued from there. Nike All-Star Dunk gas mask was a really interesting piece for me because I finally had a shoe that I felt kind of lent itself more to the mask. With that rogue green, it was already very military. Even though they took their inspiration from, you know, the Kennedy Space Center, there was definitely a military vibe to the sneaker, and I think it applied itself well to the mask, with also pulling in the just craziness of sneaker design with the galaxy print on the inside. Art is everything. Everything that you look at, an artist has touched. Designers design our clothing. They design the label on your bottle of whatever you're drinking. You know, they shape the products that we buy and use every day. You know, musicians make the beats, notes, and lyrics that we live our lives to. So it really is everything to me. You know, I don't look at anything and go, an artist didn't have a hand in that. My work is really about a duality. We are a world at war, whether it's within ourselves, amongst societies, countries at war with terrorism. We see these images every day. We're fighting for our rights, we're fighting for change, and it'll get you down. It's hard to tackle these ideas every day, but it's a part of the world. The sneakers, on the other hand, represent an appreciation for everyday art. To a sneakerhead, that shoe is the art that they know and they love. And that positive side of life is recognized by the sneakerhead. Some people will see it and see the consumerism, the materialism, and see greed in it. But it's not about the object as far as the sneaker. It's about the colors, the materials. It's a fine line to walk, right? It's both materialistic and just a positive thing. You know, you don't look at a stamp collector and be like, oh, well, he's greedy because he's trying to have this really valuable stamp. It's just not fair. We're just getting a bum name, you know? And it can't always be about the negativity. It can't always be that there are these huge issues pressing down on us every day. Sometimes it just has to be about a fly pair of kicks, and it's that balance between the two.
Baby, you looking so good. I mean, I couldn't imagine spending tonight with anyone in the world but you. I love you.
Like, honestly, it to the point, it's Sneds is, you know, like I said, it's sneaker plus heads equals Sneds. I think Sean was, Paper from OSD was like the first person to ever like really get it right on the first try. And then when I was on their radio show, they actually had a debate. He was like, I told you it's pronounced Sneds. It was like, watch, how's it pronounced, Ree? It was like, it's Sneds. See, I told you. But people will say Sneeds, and it almost, and it's funny when you say it like that, it almost sounds like a bad word. So, you know, Sneed, you know, it's like, but my whole issue, and that was actually part of the reason of making the comic, was that sneakerhead has started to become like a bad word, you know? you're a little sneakerhead or something like that. It's like, you know what? Like I'm labeled, you know, not necessarily me, but people are labeled just because they like some shoes. The whole point was to make fun of this, the seriousness of it all, you know, and then how people were so into this or that. Like I just wanted to basically give some social commentary, a different perspective on things, you know, so people could take this stuff a little lightly. You know, some people at first were like, yo, this is corny. I'm like, I'm saying something here. You know, do you have something better to say? Like, the whole point is to say something. Like, you know, just to be on a sneaker website, you know, in the comments section, hate, pass, next, copping, like let's actually talk about some things, you know, here. You know, be it the history of the sneaker, you know, how you really feel about it, how you feel about the texture, how you feel about the colors. Materials any different, you know, just trying to get some conversation going, some dialogue going in the community. I'm into social commentary. I make challenging animated films. It's not something to easily digest. It's something to think about. You know, be it the price of a pair of sneakers, how much a reseller is getting them for, the fact that you're camped out online waiting for the Yeezy to go from $2,500 to $1,200 on eBay, little things like that.
Yo, Sned's in the building, ready to break some necks.
Hey yo, is that a Maybach? Oh snap, the phone! Yeezy 2! Sixes!
Come on, son.
You ain't got no Yeezy? Yeezy?
You got your own shoe. Why you rocking Varsity Reds?
Jesus, yo, do you need these or are you colorblind? Those are clearly infrareds.
Yo, Yeezy, will you take? Oh, damn.
I guess easy talk. Yeah.
I bet you I could tell you the color red coming out your nose.
We need resellers to keep some of the interest in the game and into collecting sneakers, and sometimes it's what forces companies to bring out more items and better product just to entice people to continue and have that crave. And the negative part of reselling is just having to pay those crazy prices that the hype creates.
The shoe game has definitely changed. I mean, now it's crazy because it used to be like, even when the most popular shoes would come out, you could still get them and you could go up that day or maybe wait in line a little bit and stuff. Now it's like every release, every Jordan retro and stuff, even like random shoes that you're like, yo, those are whack. Like, just if it has a limited thing or something on it, it's selling out like that because there's so many sneakerheads now it's such a fad and such a cool thing. And it's one of those things that I'm torn about. It's great that obviously, you know, more people are into the culture and seeing that, but at the same time, especially when you've been doing it so long and, you know, like I have, and it's crazy. I'm sure people probably said this when I was coming up, you know, 12 years ago. People that had been doing it even before me were probably saying the same thing about me, but, you know, it's always tough seeing so many people getting into it and especially making it harder for you to cop. Like there's certain shoes now where I have to call so many favors and hit people and try to find that, and I still don't even get everything that I want, and it's crazy just how, you know, how it's messed up. But it's really mind-boggling how literally every release right now in 2012 we're in is like, you know, ever since, you know, with the hype of the Jordan 11 Concords when they re-released them last year, now the Yeezys, the Galaxies, it's just taken it to another height.
Resellers have become a real big part of the community. I think at one point or another, everybody's guilty of it. You know, there's a lot of people that talk down about resellers, but really they sort of, they sort of just keep the community going. You know, there's a lot of us miss out on midnight releases because of work or, you know, because of other responsibilities or priorities and stuff like that. And even though you end up paying a little bit more or a lot more, you know, you do eventually get that sneaker you did want, or you really, you know, that sort of holds value to you in like whatever way, shape, or form, you know?
The House of Kicks, you know, we're holding down Sneakerhead Street today, 2 to 8, and this is the third time we're doing this. We've been doing this for now a year and a half, and this is my man Kevin from Also Sneakers, you know, so yeah, we're getting the crowd in there now, so it's going pretty good. The reason why it happens is because Rockville doesn't really have anybody here that's representing, you know, the community. So he and I kind of got together.
Trying to get a group of people together that both share the same similarities as in terms of passion for sneakers, as well as being able to get rid of some of their shoes and purchase maybe some other shoes, and just allow people to kind of interact, get to know one another. A lot of us know one another from different Facebook groups and stuff like that. So it allows everyone to kind of put a face to that so-called name from those, you know, social networking sites. I think resellers is a part of life in general. People can hate on whatever they want to hate, but it just seems like there's a lot of people out there that want to find problems. My objective in life is to find solutions. If you want to hate on people that do this or do that, you're going to find that in anything. Resellers is one thing. If you know, if that's an issue to somebody, I think most of the time it kind of deals directly with them not being able to have the connections that those people have. And I think what all they're trying to do is create a buzz and a hype. They know that people are all about sneakers right now. The limited releases, everybody wants exclusivity. That's why there's a market for customs, as well as, you know, Nike coming out with these hyper strikes and quick strikes and stuff like that. And I think it's great. I mean, it spices up the game. It creates so-called hype beasts, whatever you want to call it, but it is what it is. It's all part of, you know, life, and it's part of this culture. And fashion comes in phases. It's in and out, and basically, you know, people want exclusivity, period.
If I can make a buck on the shoe, you know, it is what it is. I don't hate on them, you know. I mean, it's a game. You know, it's the same thing with the iPhone, iPad, you know, why you hating? You know, so I don't have a problem with them. If you want to buy a shoe and sell it, if you can sell it for $500, go ahead and do it. It's not my problem, you know. I just love the game, I love the people, and I try to keep my prices pretty low.
The initial cost of a shoe doesn't really hurt. I mean, some of them aren't really that expensive, you know, 80, 90, a couple $100, but it's really like the resale value of a shoe is sometimes what really sort of just makes you, you know, just sort of contemplate getting that shoe, you know, especially if it's something that's really rare and drops on day one and is gone within the first hour.
If a kid can go out and go to the local store and buy, you know, 10 pairs of whatever shoe is releasing and go and flip them for like $500 profit per pair, good for him. I think that's great. I mean, that's capitalism at its finest.
The sneaker culture is changing. You know, I've been in the game since 1986, and I tell you now it's a reseller's game, or it's hype beasts, which are people that just want to get the kicks just to be cool and not really for the love of sneakers. You know, I'm in it for the love of sneakers. You know, I have to pay over retail for certain shoes because I want them and I'm gonna wear them. And my size is limited, size 13, 14. So it's kind of hard for me to get shoes because they only send limited amounts, like only 13 to most stores. So the state of the game is a reseller's game, and it's for people who just want to be cool.
They're a necessary evil. I'll put it that way. Like I said, if you can't find a shoe, the reason why you can't find it is because they have it. So certain times you have to get some shoes from them. And then in other cases, especially if you're looking for something more rare, I mean, unless you have a direct connect, you know, into some companies to get some shoes, you're gonna have to go that route.
In terms of reselling now too, it's like so many people just buy the shoes to resell them. I'm not mad because I used to do similar things. I wouldn't, you know, I do it just to fund my own thing, and it was before, you know, people could really get it, but now it's taking a lot of the real fans out of it. But at the same time, that's what creates a lot of the hype and brings people into it. So it's a double-edged sword. You can't, you know, it's tough to knock. You can't knock other people's hustles and business. And look, they're waiting in line hours to get that or figuring out whatever trips. It sucks for, you know, us other people that can't dedicate that much time to it. I can't, you know, I'm not gonna sit in line like I'm over those days, you know, but it's still, you know, annoying when you can't get a shoe that you truly want, especially being a collector and you see other people just with 30 boxes online selling them for whatever. So it is what it is. It sucks, but you know, what are you gonna do?
I really don't know what the solution can be. I mean, other than make more shoes. Make more shoes. I mean, people are killing for these shoes because there's resellers. That's kind of like ruining the game a little bit. You know, the hype beast kind of ruined the game a little bit. I really honestly don't know what Nike can do to make this a better situation other than like make more shoes.
I mean, to me, it's resellers are new age drug dealers, and they're feeding off our addiction, and our addiction is shoes. So, I mean, this is a clean drug habit, but you know, what would you rather them do? Actually sell some real drugs, or you know, these material drugs? Either way you look at it, it's drugs.
Feeding the resellers, because they put these kids in line in the different states that they're in. Go buy me 5 pair of these shoes. We gonna flip them for $700-800. I'll probably give you $50 to stand in line. And a little kid don't have no money, he gonna do it. You know, it might give him $100. Might buy him another shoe, might buy him an Air Force One. You know, I've seen that. I know people that do that. And I just don't like resellers that sell for an outrageous price. Now, if this is $160 and you sell it for $200, I don't have a problem with that. But you look on eBay later today, these shoes are gonna be $600-700.
Is there a solution? I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice if, you know, like imagine if Jordan came out with something where it was like an annual pass where you paid whatever and you guaranteed 2 releases. You were guaranteed to get something every month and you bought them in advance, or, you know, they could have some way to say, oh, you have this many, you're guaranteed this. Almost like, you know, Ferraris, like to buy a Ferrari, you have to have owned a Ferrari and you have to have bought it, you know, owned a resale one. Like it's an extensive program. You can't just walk in and put down a bunch of cash and do it. So it'd be nice to see that instituted, or some mix, but then by doing that too, you also take away some of the new kids from the game, or the kid that, you know, when I was, you know, 12 trying to get a pair of shoes, I couldn't have gotten it if I hadn't had anything. So it's tough. Maybe some balance. Maybe if there was some way where people, you know, that, you know, were legitimate fans could be guaranteed those releases. Obviously, you don't want them making any more, because then they're not going to be as limited as they were, and it opens up, and you don't want everybody in the street wearing, you know, a pair of super exclusive limited shoes, because then it kind of takes out the novelty of it. But that's one of those tough questions. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
When I was your age, you know, my Jordans cost me $100. You know, it was like the inflation and the pricing, you know, obviously it's like everything, you know. You know, I used to buy lunch, it was 75 cents in school. Now, I don't even know what it is because I'm not in school, I've been out for so long. But I know it's a lot more than 75 cents. So, I mean, I think it goes to everything. I mean, I understand that. I also think that the brands see the resale value, and I think they're like, well, you know, you guys are making this money. We gotta get a piece of that. And they already know that they're willing to pay that much amount of money, so it almost feels like, well, we're entitled to charge this because you're willing to pay it.
The prices are, some would say, out of control, and others would say it's the best time imaginable for prices to be where they are. And you really kind of have to take into account inflation, you know, technology. You have to take into account all the things that go into the process of manufacturing and selling a shoe. A lot of those things have went up. A lot of those methods of delivery have changed. So I don't think that prices are ever going to be how they were in the late 70s to early 80s in terms of bang for your buck 100%. But on the flip side of that, athletic footwear companies have taken full advantage of the fact that people are willing to camp out in the rain and the snow and hurricanes to get that coveted pair of shoes. So they're going to charge whatever they're going to charge because they know that there's people who are willing to give their last dime just to get it.
They say, why you take your soul serious? When it's really my OSD that's got me feeling so delirious. I'm really holding my tongue. No, literally, holding my tongue. I'm fighting to keep my souls because materials are threatened by guns. I'm from a city where people get laid down for pennies. Either way, I'm talking sense. Walk around feet looking fancy, pockets with no contents. No knowledge of the game, no knowledge of the names, no hype beasts, no I just not rock Nikes. No bootlegging, no skinny jeans or jeggings, loose leg type. Running myself be ronkers trying to see what the history be like. Shoot, I'm a thinker like Tinker, but my grind ain't right. Trying to figure the next scheme to have y'all in line all night. How you break out the fisticuffs cause we bunched too tight. All that ish and I still can't play like Mike. I be LACED UP.